Instead of
This meeting is being recorded.
Yep, going to the cloud server. Share the
yeah.
screen. And share. So guys, welcome to the third call. And have you done your previous assignments? Because I went through your team murals just now and I noticed team 2 has yet to get started. One of the teams, they did write something on the sticky notes. Team 3 has done their work. Another one is yet to start. Are there any issues you're facing during the brainstorming session or in filling the mural?
Seems I heard from some
Like
other
we would like you
students.
to unmute and speak about it. If there's any issues, we can solve it right now.
Yeah, some of the students from team 2 contacted me, Juhi. They were telling that they will be uploading all the work at once and they haven't done simultaneously.
Okay, got it. So with that aside, let's start with today's call. And am I easy to follow? Should I slow down or anything, or should I go faster?
I think
Okay,
I'm
I'll
very
just
much.
continue with my
I think I'm very
present
much used to
pace.
whatever you're speaking.
So
some others can unmute and tell if you cannot follow her, or if you have to reduce a pace.
I'm reducing my pace right now. I usually go really fast. So in previous session, we have spoken about flaring, right? We have brainstormed various solutions to the problem statement you have chosen previously. And during this time, if you wanted to go to Mars for lunch, you could go. There's no constraints applied whatsoever. You are just ideating various solutions. So what are you going to do with all these 15, 20, 30 solutions? Which one are you going to take? What steps are you going to follow for that? Well, that is done by focusing. Till now, you have flared various solutions for your problem statement, right? So this time, you're going to focus on 2 to 3 and maybe finally one solution that you think is ideal for your budget and various constraints. You're going to apply constraints this time. And we're going to do this by Jenga. Jenga sounds like a fun name. We've all played. Whoa, 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 whoa. Just a second. That was strange. Okay. View and slideshow. Right. So Jenga, we may have played this in the past. And Jenga, it requires a lot of weighing all your various options. You have to check which of those blocks of wood you can take out so they won't hit you. And you've got to balance, you've got to walk a tightrope, right? If you pull out one wrong block, everything is going to get messed up. And finally, you juggle all your options and choose the one that you think is the best. Whoa, is the screen glitching just for me or is it for you guys too? Vidya, can you confirm, please?
It's fine. Can you just share it again?
Yeah, it's been glitching for me, so. Okay, it's good now.
Smooth.
So, whoa, that is really strange. Anyway, I'm going to present it like this for now because the screen keeps on glitching, but okay. And then, so like Jenga, you have to weigh all your options. You have to walk a tightrope, right? You have to be really careful about which one you're pulling out. And then you got to juggle all your options. Maybe if you like 3 ideas out of all the things you brainstorm, you can merge them together, or you can take the best parts out of each of them. It's up to you. And in today's session, we are going to be learning about 3 things. What are they? First, we are going to be learning about moonshot thinking. Design thinking is just one of many approaches to structured thinking for any industrial problem, right? Design thinking, we have 5 steps. We use that. Well, moonshot is another one of them. And as Vidya had mentioned in the previous session, it's mostly used by Google for their side hustle called Google X. Next, we are going to talk about SWOT. Maybe you've learned about SWOT before: strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. And finally, we're going to learn about the golden circle, starting with why. First off, moonshot thinking. The name sounds cute in a sense. Moonshot, are you going to shoot the moon? What is that going to involve? Well, perhaps you've heard of the phrase going to the moon and stuff, right? And what it chiefly entails is you've got to have big ideas. What do I mean by big ideas? Well, let me give a small walk down the memory lane. It was the 1960s, and the world was competing to see who is going to be the first person to go to space. Russia achieved that. And then Kennedy, President Kennedy, at that moment, he came out and he said, look, we choose to go to the moon, not the space, but the moon. And he said famously that he chose to go to the moon, USA chose to go to the moon in 1960s, not because it was easy, but because it was hard. And moonshot ideas, right, not only are they very big, they have to be radical. It has to sound so ridiculous. You got to stop when you say, are you for serious? This is not going to happen. Why do you want to do that? It's radical. It's going to bring forth a huge change. And it was radical. They were the greatest minds of the time coming together to build a spacecraft. Not only is the spacecraft supposed to launch them towards the moon, it's also supposed to have one person in the control command center while 2 others walk on the moon. And they had to prepare spacesuits for people to go out and walk over there. The atmospheric conditions are different. They're basically going into a vacuum. And they had to do all this on a strict time frame. And the best, like the most important of it all, is not just it being a big idea or it being a radical idea. You have to dare to do this. See, ideas will only remain as ideas on paper unless you take action and attempt to do it in real life. So they built Apollo 17. Everyone attends. If this is going to fail, not only are 3 people going to die, they are trained and they're incredibly skilled personnel. All their efforts for the past year and a half or 2 years, all of it is going to go down the drain. This was the moment they test to see whether it's going to succeed or fail. And they launched it. And they made it. Their man took their first step on the moon. They planted the flag, though I'm still confused about how it's flying with no wind on the moon. That's a huge other debate. And they got a view of Earth from the moon. It was published all over newspapers all across the world. Every country was surprised. Here we were as a human civilization for 10,000, 20,000, 30,000 years, having various stories about the moon. Some say there's a rabbit on the moon, some say it's a god over there, some say it's a heavens, no one's going to reach there. But we have achieved it. Man can now walk on the moon. And we all have the famous quote by Neil Armstrong. He says, one small step for man, one great leap for mankind. But Buzz Aldrin, the second man to step on the moon, right behind Neil, he said, the biggest benefit of Apollo was the inspiration it gave to a growing generation to get into science and aerospace. So this opened a door, It opened a door to a whole new era of space exploration. And all that sounded great. All that sounded good. But after Apollo 17, People thought, hey, we've already reached the moon. There's nothing more preposterous for us now. So when you stop challenging yourself, when you take things for granted, there are people who think, hey, no one else has done this before, so why should I do it? There are people who say, hey, someone has done it, so I don't need to work on it any further. There's no need to work on that solution that's been given and improve it. There's no need for that because it's already there. And after that particular mission, there haven't been big achievements per se where man had gone, oh, we've done this, we've accomplished this milestone. And no one was motivated anymore to go for extreme heights. But what's the point of all this? Why are we speaking about something that happened 60 years ago, 1960s? Right now, we've sent probes to Mars, we sent the Voyagers. So what's the point of all this? Thing is, not only did we become less ambitious in space, we also became less ambitious in business. That's right. In 2015, right, everything started being focused on small ideas per se, or even take 2022. Twitter, they increased their work count, great. Somebody took over a company, great. But right now, if you hear of something strange, you're like, hey, that already existed. It's not a radical idea anymore. When Jules Verne in 1700s, 1800s said, hey, there's going to be this thing, there's going to be flying cars, there's going to be all this, everybody struck him down for being ridiculous. And right now, we're not working towards flying cars, are we? Somehow, that iota of creativity that everyone possesses as a 5-year-old child, it seems to have died down. Right now, we're happy with small ideas. And we're happy with progress being incremental. See, if the company goes, hey, our sales were great, we are 10% up from the previous year. It's just 10%. It's not 10 times. You're not overturning a generation. You're not bringing forth a new era. You're happy with a gradual, small climbing change. You want to be the turtle instead of the rabbit in the race because everyone says the turtle always wins. But the past 200 years ago, if you travel back in time, everything is gonna, well, let me admit this, I do not want to travel back in time. 200 years and humanity has evolved so much, and yet right now, because everything is on our fingertips, we don't want to make radical solutions anymore. We're happy with small changes. And we don't want to take huge risks anymore. When the 3 astronauts sat on Apollo 17, not to say that you should take the same risk, but there were chances that it was going to burn up mid-air. They may not go any further. They may die, they may lose their lives. Like 2 years of hard work that all these scientists have done, that all these greatest minds have done, that had such a huge budget and time going into it, all of it might collapse, and that's a huge risk. But these days, we don't want to take the jump anymore. We don't want to jump off the cliff to check what happens. We're happy with taking small risks. Low risk, it's all right. I won't lose what I already have. But it's only when you take big risks that there will be big change in the world. But all of this seems to be the rant of a millennial, you know? All parents, they go, hey, our generation was better. We were motivated. You guys are not. We've heard this. So what is the solution? We can't just keep bemoaning it. We have to take action. And Google X proposed moonshot thinking. What is moonshot thinking? Well, moonshot thinking is shooting for the moon, right? And these projects that you take up, they are so ridiculous. They seem to be somewhere between, okay, this might be achievable, to downright, this is science fiction, this is not going to happen. And what you want to do is when you apply these projects or when you take them up, you don't want a 10% improvement for everyone's lives. You want 10 times the improvement. You want to take a huge risk. And the ideas that you take, the projects that you take, you want it to affect not your community, not your city, not your country, but 1 billion people at least. With this, you are going to effectively change the lives of 1 billion people at the very bare minimum. And how they really do it at Google X is they try to go for a project that takes 3 main things, right? First of all, it is to be a huge problem. It can't be something small like, hey, I want to cut this apple. Maybe there can be a different instrument to do that. It's got to be huge. It can be poverty. It can be really broad, you know. It can be agriculture. It can be about food security or about, you know, global relations. It can be about pollution. It can be about sustainability. All the problems that a moonshot thinker would want to take, it's going to be a huge problem. Maybe it's about cancer. Remember cancer? Chemotherapy, it ends up killing healthy body cells along with the tumor, right? So we are killing our body during our treatment. What if we can make them sleep instead? What if we make the tumor sleep instead of erupting? That's a huge problem because many people have been going down with such a health problem these days. And the second thing is it's got to be a radical solution. It has to sound ridiculous. What do you mean by you want to farm under the ocean? See, the earth, right? Around 20%, 21% of it is land. The rest of it is all ocean bed. So what if we start farming under the ocean? And in fact, people have started this. It's not a new idea. So it has to be radical. You got to think, I won't be able to farm carrots and potatoes under the ocean, but it is radical. You can do it. And the third thing that it tries to factor is for this particular solution, for that problem, to make use of breakthrough technology, the latest technology that the market has to offer, or maybe the next 5 years have to offer. You've constantly got to, you know, explore various avenues and keep yourself updated. For example, one of the projects that Google X has been taken, I remember, is they want to make internet accessible to at least 4 billion people for remote areas by having a balloon sort of internet. I'll share a link later in our WhatsApp groups, and maybe you could see that later. It's a 15-minute video, and I found it quite interesting. It's a TED Talk. And just to give a taste for those big ideas, let's watch a video. Is everyone here with me? Hello?
Yes. Yes.
Yeah, great. So let's watch a small video. Can you hear it?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Is it audible?
Yes. Yes.
Well, there's a small taste for it.
That was really good, yeah.
And all of this, it sounds really grand, right? Like Larry Page, Google founder, he says, if you're not doing something crazy, then you're doing the wrong things. If you want to throw yourself into it, it's got to sound ridiculous to everyone else. And that's your passion. That's what motivates you to continue on that path. And all of this sounds cool, but I'm not Google X. I don't have huge budgets. And how do I apply moonshot thinking to perhaps a smaller setting, maybe at my company? So what can we do for that? And as famously said by Mr. Diamandis, he says, your biggest problems are often your biggest opportunities. And they gave a 5-step process for companies or smaller communities to follow in case they want to apply moonshot thinking at a smaller level. And they said, hey, first of all, hire a young team, right? Because once you get older and once you start being boxed up in a system that we call society or a career, we sort of let go of the impossible, right? We start being analytical of everything that approaches us, and we don't want to scrutinize, we don't want to dig up everything, we don't want to ask why the sky is blue or why, fire seems to burn red. We don't ask for those questions. So if you have a young team, there's huge chances that they may find avenues that other people might not be able to. And the second thing is you got to question everything. What if? Why is it like that? How can it be better? Is there anything I can do to make this worse? Often solutions are hidden in the question that you ask. So question everything, question the system, change the dynamics. And then you generate ideas that you've done previously in your brainstorming on DT. So you generate ideas that might help change this particular thing to a large extent. Like you pinch this one button and it's going to change the whole building. And then among all these ideas that you brainstormed and fine-tuned, you have to catalog and select them, Is this in my budget? Do I have enough, knowledge or brain power to deal with it? Do I have enough human resources to do this? Do I have the energy? And is this feasible for people to use this? How many users are there going to be? You got to catalog and select based on these various factors. And then you fund the best ideas. So yeah, the young force is called the strike team, and they question everything, they generate ideas, and good ideas, remember, good ideas are always crazy until they're not. And then you catalog them. You can say, what is the financial impact of this? Is this gonna save my community on maybe nearly 50% of whatever they've been spending all these days? And how is this gonna make my company or my community better as compared to peers? And can I implement this? While everything seems grand, is it possible to bring all of that from paper to reality? So, and then you fund the best ideas and the best teams. So now if you're ready, now take off and enjoy the ride. Well, that brings it close to moonshot thinking, and if there's anyone who wants to unmute and speak for a while, you can do that. Okay. Well, we completed the first one among the 3 topics we are going to discuss today, right? The second one is SWOT. SWOT stands for strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. It's a small concept per se, but it's something you use on the tip of your thumb every day. And strategic analysis for SWOT, it says, see, there are two factors which are internal. That means you have the capability to change these things. It's up to you about how you utilize them. And there are certain factors which are external. You can't change them. You can't change that perhaps your climate may be rainy. Your climate might be very hot. You can't change that external factor. So amongst these strengths and weaknesses, you want to build and enhance upon your strengths. Maybe for me as a person, I can say my strength is I like to read a lot, right? I can say my strength is I like connecting with people. Or my weaknesses could be because I often jump to various projects, I end up neglecting the ones I've taken up in the past. Now, opportunities could be, well, my college has a new chapter that they're going to begin. Maybe that's an opportunity to improve myself. A threat can be, but what if this impacts my academics in turn? So internal things are strengths and weaknesses. You want to build upon your strengths. You want to find a path that's going to allow you to utilize these strengths to the maximum. And you want that particular path to minimize on your weaknesses. Maybe you can say, hey, for this particular problem, I have this particular solution, and I have found 3 problems and 5 strengths. So I'm gonna work on bettering its strengths, something like that. And you wanna take hold of all these external opportunities that you've been presented. And even if they don't come to you, you have to search for them. You have to dig deeper and find that opportunity, go and say, hey, I wanna do this. And you want to either come up with a foolproof plan about how you're going to manage external threats. The pandemic was an external threat that no one anticipated, and it brought forth a collapse in many economies. That is an external threat. It's not up to anyone's control. So you want to avoid those things, and that pretty much sums up SWOT. And as a small exercise, you can take any 3 instances. It could be something that is universal. Maybe you can say, hey, I want to do a SWOT analysis of Starbucks. You can say the strength is they call great coffee, and the cafe is a great place to hang out. The weaknesses could be, but because the menu options are too much, it sort of like confuses people. Or you can say, because they're expanding to many countries, they have to think about how to better mingle with that particular culture. Maybe if you go to Shanghai, you can find, red bean paste, mochi, or something like that. And for Starbucks, an external opportunity can be, hey, there's globalization. Everybody wants a place where they can gather and they can hang out, and Starbucks seems to offer that to them. And a threat could be, maybe people are hesitant to accept them because that country prefers tea over coffee or something like that. So anything and everything in this world can be categorized in a SWOT. And then there is start with why that I'd like to introduce to you guys today. And we also call this the golden circle. What do you mean by? Till now, you've made us brainstorm various solutions, you've made up take ideas and use some moonshot thinking and SWOT. What do you mean by starting with why? Are we going with the reverse process? What is happening? So let's watch the small video and you'll understand where I'm getting to. We're going to watch the first 6 minutes of this, and Simon Sinek is a great guy. There.
So where do you start when you have a program that's about integrating likes with passions? Well, you start with why. Why? And that kicks us off for the first speaker tonight, Simon Sinek, and his talk, Start with Why.
We assume even we know why we do what we do. But then how do you explain when things don't go as we assume? Or better, how do you explain when others are able to achieve things that seem to defy all of the assumptions? For example, why is Apple so innovative? Year after year after year after year, they're more innovative than all their competition. And yet they're just a computer company. They're just like everyone else. They have the same access to the same talent, the same agencies, the same consultants, the same media. Then why is it that they seem to have something different? Why is it that Martin Luther King led the civil rights movement? He wasn't the only man who suffered in a pre-civil rights America, and he certainly wasn't the only great orator of the day. Why him? And why is it that the Wright brothers were able to figure out controlled powered manned flight when there were certainly other teams who were better qualified, better funded, and they didn't achieve powered manned flight? The Wright brothers beat them to it. There's something else at play here. About 3.5 years ago, I made a discovery, and this discovery profoundly changed my view on how I thought the world worked, and it even profoundly changed the way in which I operated it. As it turns out, there's a pattern. As it turns out, all the great and inspiring leaders and organizations in the world, whether it's Apple or Martin Luther King or the Wright brothers, they all think, act, and communicate the exact same way, and it's the complete opposite to everyone else. All I did was codify it. And it's probably the world's simplest idea. I call it the golden circle. Why, how, what? This little idea explains why some organizations and some leaders are able to inspire where others aren't. Let me define the terms really quickly. Every single person, every single organization on the planet knows what they do, 100%. Some know how they do it, whether you call it your differentiating value proposition or your proprietary process or your USP. But very, very few people or organizations know why they do what they do. And by why, I don't mean to make a profit. That's a result. It's always a result. By why, I mean what's your purpose, what's your cause, what's your belief? Why does your organization exist? Well, as a result, the way we think, the way we act, the way we communicate is from the outside in. It's obvious. We go from the clearest thing to the fuzziest thing. But the inspired leaders and the inspired organizations, regardless of their size, regardless of their industry, all think, act, and communicate from the inside out. Let me give you an example. I use Apple because it's easy to understand and everybody gets it. If Apple were like everyone else, a marketing message from them might sound like this. We make great computers. They're beautifully designed, simple to use, and user-friendly. Want to buy one? Meh. And that's how most of us communicate. That's how most marketing is done, that's how most sales is done, and that's how most of us communicate interpersonally. We say what we do, we say how we're different or how we're better, and we expect some sort of behavior, a purchase, a vote, something like that. Here's our new law firm. We have the best lawyers with the biggest clients. We have, we always perform for our clients, do business with us. Here's our new car. It gets great gas mileage. It has, leather seats. Buy our car. But it's uninspiring. Here's how Apple actually communicates. Everything we do, we believe in challenging the status quo. We believe in thinking differently. The way we challenge the status quo is by making our products beautifully designed, simple to use, and user-friendly. We just happen to make great computers. Want to buy one? Totally different, right? You're ready to buy a computer from me. All I did was reverse the order of the information. People don't buy what you do, people buy why you do it. People don't buy what you do, they buy why you do it. This explains why every single person in this room is perfectly comfortable buying a computer from Apple. But we're also perfectly comfortable buying an MP3 player from Apple, or a phone from Apple, or a DVR from Apple. But as I said before, Apple's just a computer company. There's nothing that distinguishes them structurally from any of their competitors. Their competitors are all equally qualified to make all of these products. In fact, they tried. A few years ago, Gateway came out with flat screen TVs. They're eminently qualified to make flat screen TVs. They've been making flat screen monitors for years. Nobody bought one. Dell came out with MP3 players and PDAs. And they make great quality products, and they can make perfectly well-designed products. and nobody bought one. In fact, talking about it now, we can't even imagine buying an MP3 player from Dell. Why would you buy an MP3 player from a computer company? But we do it every day. People don't buy what you do, they buy why you do it. The goal is not to do business with everybody who needs what you have. The goal is to do business with people who believe what you believe. Here's the best part.
Well, he starts going about cognitive functions over there, but for today, till 5:50 is a good place to stop it. And it's been extensive to the point. Remember on the very first day we spoke about national education policy. So in India, what we're trying to do now is we want to reverse the order of information with how students take it, right? Instead of going, hey, I've done this today in the meeting myself. I said, hey, here's something I'm going to teach you about. I'm going to teach you about Moonshot Thinking. And I'm going to tell you about what it is. And I'm going to tell you about how it's done. And I'm going to tell you about why it's done. That's the order in which I gave to you. But what if I reverse that operation or that order and delivered it to you? You'll be curious. You're like, hey, why is this person speaking about all this? This does seem interesting. Why? And then how? And then, okay, so all of this process that you spoke about thus far is Moonshot Thinking. And yeah, the golden circle, to sum it up, what is every organization and every person on this planet? They know what they do, right? And some organizations, they're like, yeah, sure, we deliver this product and this is how we do it. They know how they do that, but very few people, very few communities, and very few organizations, countries even, very few of them have a sense of why they're doing it. The chief motive tends not for that particular idea or solution they take up resonating with what they believe in. Rather than they go for things that make it easier for you. For example, you can say, hey, I'm a student, so it's going to be easier for me to run a campus drive. I can just ask my friends to join in, and then we can pick up some ocean trash, and that's pretty much it. That's you're thinking about what, but if you go from the reverse order, you speak about why. Why do I have to care? Why do I want to go and help clean up the trash on the beach? It's not relevant to me whatsoever. It does not resonate with my identity. So why am I doing this? I'm doing this because I believe that the journey of 1,000 miles starts with a single step, and everybody has to take those small steps together in order to bring for the big change. I believe in this. And I want you guys to join me in this quest for a better future. Maybe I want people from 3 generations down to not resent us for handing them a ruined planet. We want this to be a thriving utopia. This is what I believe in, and would you join my cause? And well, it's not only going to be students who are going to join you. That's not how it's going to be led. It's a belief that you're spreading forth and selling to all these people. And perhaps the solution that you come up with, because most of these problem statements that we had given you, the 11 problem statements, some of them from the United Nations, although we have brainstormed them up ourselves. All of these are very broad. It might not resonate with your skill set. It might be beyond your comfort levels, but start questioning with why. Why do you want to do this? Why do you want to take this particular idea out of all else? Not just the constraints, but does it come on the same page with what you believe in and what you want to convey to others to also convince them to take up the same belief? Well, that closes today's session, and the next one will be focused on the fundraising and risk management part. Once you do take your, once you do choose your solution out of the menu brainstorm, and that was Chandler. You're gonna this time's assignment is you're going to balance, weigh upon, and juggle all your options. Try to implement these. You can also go for other strategic planning methodologies that you may be aware of. Research the hell out of everything, and good luck. That closes today's session. And is there anything anyone wants to add, Vidya? Would you like to add anything?
Yes, I would like to add something. We will take the next session only if you finish all the work that is given to you up till now. And you will not have any call from or message from us, because we cannot constantly update you, because we have other things to follow up as well. But within 2 days of time, we have given you the roadmap, we have given you the deadlines, we also informed you about the schedule. So I think everyone is aware of it. If you finish that, we'll be having a next call. Otherwise, we'll have a call only when you finish it. That is a proposal from our end, because we can also take a call even if you do not finish it. But we do believe that it is just a waste of time if you did not finish the initial step. Now, most of you heard what Julie said. This is a connection of what you have done in the previous part. Okay, so I saw the murals of other teams as well. And I came to know that only one team has done their work, that to a little part, right, Julie? Yeah, I think it's team 3 who have done some work. I think they gave whatever the ideas they got. But we at least expect 50 ideas posted on the screen where there is a group discussion mentioned. Okay, and the next part will be revealed only if you finish the current part which is given to you. And next part will be revealed. Juhi explained everything, and from that you can solve the next part. Okay, yeah, that's it from our end today. Juhi, anything else?
That's pretty much it. And guys, you guys got to interact with us. All of us are students. There's no teachers over here. There's no need to hesitate or anything.
Okay.
Hello, Rashina.
Hi.
Hey.
Hi.
Do you have any problem in doing it, or do you want us to explain it again, or we're open for anything?
I think it's okay. I think we were just like busy for other stuff. Yeah, I think that this is a long weekend, right? So we can finish all our stuff and consolidate everything. Yeah.
Yeah, but don't push all the work to the to the end of it. We gave you mural so that you can finish the work simultaneously. Okay, whoever can.
Thing is, the reason we're doing this for 3 weeks instead of crushing everything into 1 or 2 days is we want this to be an experience. So maybe in the future you can use it elsewhere. It's not just a one-time project or a one-time delivery. You do this assignment and you're done with it. We want this to be a long-term thing, and that's only going to happen if you form your own conclusions about it after doing it, after working on it for a long time. Don't crush everything into 1 weekend or 2 or 3 days, right? This is supposed to be an experience.
Yes.
Yes, Brandon, you raised your hand.
Hello. First of all, thank you for teaching us about the 3 things today. Just wanted to say I was quite grateful for it. I learned quite a lot. I do have a few questions with regards to the murals and the slides. Firstly, is it possible for us to have access to the slides so that we can use them in our group discussions?
Yeah, sure thing.
All right. Yeah, and I think for the mural, some of my group mates are unable to, I think, place their edits and stuff. I'm not really sure how that goes, but I think some of my group mates do have trouble with that. Is there any way to go around that?
Okay, what is the problem that you're having? You cannot edit the mural, right?
Yeah, some of my group mates cannot edit the mural because it seems locked to them.
Okay, let's do one thing. Let's plan for a call We'll also have other team from my end. So they'll explain you what you'll have to do. Also, they'll verify with you simultaneously if all the mural part is working for your team. Is that okay?
Yeah, that will be great. Thank you.
Yeah.
Right. Shall we close the session here?
Yeah.
Right, guys. Thanks for joining us. Have a great weekend.
Bye bye.
Thank you. Same to you. Bye.
Bye.
Thank you.
Thank you, Juhi and Vidya. Was a very interesting. I like the slides. And just like the last call, I think you all were very, very clear in your explanation. I was like enjoying myself too.
Thank you, Madam.
Okay.
Thank you, ma'am.
Yes, thank you so much. And I like, the fact that Vidya reinforced that they have to complete something, yes, before the next one. I think they just need that, that nudge and whatever. In Singapore, we are having a little long break, a little long weekends here because of the coming Hari Raya. So that's why I think we should get them to complete whatever that they're supposed to complete.
Okay, ma'am.
Okay, you were saying that, team 3, yes, because I was with them when they were discussing the ideas. So you still need about 50 ideas, is it?
Yes.
Like 50 in total. So,
Okay.
So basically, ma'am, the idea about 50 is you will have to paste even the craziest of ideas that you get, even the ones which are impossible.
Okay.
That is because it will give you a chance to find out and explore different new options and thinking out of box.
Yes.
And
yes.
another thing is, in 17th century, nobody has ever imagined internet, but now it is possible. So everything is possible, right, ma'am?
Yes. Yeah. Okay. They were very happy, team 3, they were very happy because they were having some crazy ideas also, they thought. Okay, but they did not go up to 50, I think. Yeah.
Yes.
I left them after a short while. Yeah, so I think they stopped.
No, ma'am, but that was really good because when we saw the ideas, we felt really happy.
Yes.
That is why we mentioned that team 3 has done its part, and we did not mention it to be 50 ideas. That's why they've posted few. That's why we have added on another layer so that they can finish it off, and then the next part will be opened.
Right. Okay. Thank you very much.
Thank you,
Okay.
ma'am.
Have a nice day. Bye-bye.
Bye, ma'am.
bye.